West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why
agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
We're back, Bill.
This
6
is weird.
a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, July 14th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. Jeff and Bill are back in studio.
Yeah,
together
super surprised
after
my
vacation.
door code worked. Really surprised on
I'm
that one.
surprised you have your hands still.
Yeah, that's true, too. We will talk about that. Almost lost a thingy this past week. That was a dumb mistake. But, however, I will preface this by saying when we get into the conversation, the doctor attending said, "This is unusual. You've done something I've never seen before," which is not the first time I've heard that from a doctor. So, yeah,
And
this
you
is
know
an
they
interesting
see
one.
a lot.
Yeah,
so.
they see a lot. And they're like, this is crazy. I mean, again, there were times in which they were testing one of my fingers going, really? You can feel that? Really? And this moves? Really? Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about how I almost couldn't count to 10 anymore because I made a dumb mistake this past week. But we'll get to that later.
Well, and that would have meant difficulty running the board because the way the show works is I just get to show up and read advertisements and talk about things.
Yeah.
All of the actual complicated board stuff around audio comes from Bill Thorpe.
Yeah, this side over
The
here.
video complications come from John Corbliss or Adam Walker, depending on the day. So without Bill's ability to move his hands, you might. Did you see when Kyle Clark's show didn't have audio the other day?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
oh,
he
my
had,
God, no way.
Like the audio board died right before the show went live.
No way.
That would be us without you.
Would be. Oh, I appreciate
We'd
that.
have no audio.
Yeah, this was.
So I'm glad your hands
There were a
are
number
okay.
of things. I'm like, it put me behind the 8 ball though with a couple of other projects I had at the house, and I'm like, I can't get to these, but everything's gonna be fine, and yeah, all the stitches will come out, and I got a bunch of them, and so we'll talk about but I do have all my fingers, which is again a big positive because
wonderful.
Let's just say that when I walked into and I didn't want to go to the emergency room, I tried not to go to the emergency room. I went to 2 other places before going to the emergency room. Eventually, they said, no, you got to go to the emergency room. I walked in, and I said, hi, I did this with a saw. They paid attention real quickly. Real quickly to what was going on. Yeah, yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing
this will be a fun story.
9575 already with the text message. Welcome back, gents. Well, good morning to you, too. Glad to be back. Bill and I were on vacation last week. We were up camping near Steamboat Lake.
Yeah, what you guys do? How
Park,
fun.
which is the most beautiful. We've traveled to a lot of the state parks, and I'm giving away a secret I probably shouldn't, but Steamboat Lake State Park is absolutely stunning this time of year. Wildflowers in bloom. The lake itself, which is a reservoir, is warm water.
No.
Yeah. So it's like a 70-degree lake in the mountains.
What? So how? Because, okay, and this is the reason why. I grew up going up to the mountains just the other side of Winter Park to Grand Lake. And you're lucky if that lake is 50 degrees.
Exactly.
You are
exactly.
lucky.
That's why I said I think I'm giving away a secret. I probably shouldn't.
Wow.
But it's 70 degrees. My son and I would swim about a mile when we were down at the beach, which was a lot of fun. We went to Steamboat Hot Springs, the old town Hot Springs. We went to the Steamboat Rodeo. We enjoyed good food. We had a great time. So
what was your favorite part about the Steamboat Rodeo? What did you really enjoy?
Oh, it was bull riding. So
yeah.
And actually went down and
That's
talked to
right.
him. I'm going to create a video.
No way.
Went down and talked to him. One guy's, you're going to love this. His actual name. Okay, you ready for this?
Okay, yeah.
Dusty Rhodes.
No. Oh, that's fantastic.
I said, your parents are awesome.
Yes, your parents are the best.
19-year-old bull rider from Denton, Texas,
Holy
named
crap.
Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, my gosh.
So went and spoke to the guys, and it was a ton of fun.
Oh, that'll be fun.
A
Can't wait to see that.
great vacation. Relaxed, ready to get back to work. Lots to cover. We're going to be joined by Scott Jennings here in the next hour. He'll be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. He's got a new show on Salem that you can hear on this station. So 7 o'clock hour, you're not going to want to miss us talking with Scott Jennings. You see him on CNN all the time. He does a great job confronting the libs on CNN. Danielle Jurinsky will be with us in the 8 o'clock hour. She's leading an effort to recall the district attorney of the 18th Judicial District, that's mostly Arapahoe County. This is the DA that decided that the dude that was 15 years old, stole his mom's car, unlicensed, illegal immigrant, crashed into a woman going 90, kills her. She's only 24 years old. This DA thought that this guy should be let out on probation.
Yeah.
No jail
Probation.
time.
No jail time for killing someone.
ICE then
driving
swooped
without a license.
in, took him up, and he's heading out of here. But this district attorney believes that this was perfectly acceptable. Well, Danielle Jurinsky does not think that that's acceptable and is going to lead the effort to recall this district attorney. We're going to talk with Danielle Jurinsky in the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to talk Biden's auto pen, plus ICE deportations in Colorado getting in the way of prosecutions. This is an interesting story out of the Denver Post. So we have a whole lot to talk about. Doug's already 2 hours into his work week.
Hey, congratulations, Doug. I'm a little behind you, but we're getting there.
Jeez.
We're
What
getting
time
there,
do you
friend.
get up, Doug? He's already 2 hours into the work
That's
week.
crazy.
Hope you guys
again, hope it's
are
done
well,
earlier.
too, minus the saw. Glad to have you back.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun story. Think again. I injure myself in strange ways, and this is another one in the books. Yeah.
The triad is back, and that includes Blake Olson. Now it's time for news and comment with Mr. Blake.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. Monday, 66. Welcome back to the guys. And partly cloudy in Denver. Gorgeous sunrise as the sun comes up with beautiful skies. Expecting a high of 93 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, one person is dead and several others seriously injured from a crash involving a shuttle bus in Denver. A witness tells 9 News 3 people were ejected. The bus was turning left when a truck hit them and spun multiple times. It happened Sunday at Tower and 81st Street near Canopy Airport parking. West Metro Fire says a man's body was discovered by a kayaker near Clear Creek Trailhead in Denver. It happened Sunday off 48th Avenue and south of the I-70 and I-76 interchange. Police are investigating. Evacuation orders have been lifted after several vegetation fires in Douglas County. The fires were reported near Louvers just after 2 o'clock on Sunday. All right, according to the Daily Mail this morning, Ghislaine Maxwell is ready to tell the American people the truth about Epstein's client list before Congress. A source told the outlet that Maxwell is happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has ever asked to hear her story and what she knows. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, of course, and she would welcome the chance to tell the American public the truth. Interesting. Now, to me, this is the biggest story. John Solomon says the DOJ and the FBI have been working on a massive case versus the deep state.
And I think next week, over the next 10 days, the base who's been wondering, where's all that accountability? They're going to get some big surprises over the next week concerning where the conspiracy began a few weeks before Crossfire Hurricane was open and when it ended, all the way in 2024, when they were still trying to pursue Donald Trump to keep him from winning the presidency. There's a big case that's been built by the Justice Department and the FBI. It's been masked by a lot of this infighting and drama and soap opera stuff, but the truth of the matter is MAGA base Americans are going to be happy when they see where this is all heading in the next few weeks.
And, of course, Dan Bongino is still in position. Kash Patel still there. And Pam Bondi still there, despite what we talked about on Friday. It could have been a mess over the weekend, but right now everyone is in place at this hour this morning. One person is dead, following a shooting in Arapahoe County. The shooting happened at a house party on East Crestridge Circle just before midnight on Saturday. A 17-year-old suspect was arrested by deputies following the shooting. John Elway will not face criminal charges in connection with the death of his business partner. Here's Daniel Martindale.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco says investigators found nothing criminal, and he considers the death a tragic accident. Elway's longtime friend and business partner Jeffrey Spurbeck died in April after falling out of a golf cart that Elway was driving. Spurbeck hit his head on the asphalt and died a few days later. It happened while Elway and Spurbeck were in the Coachella Valley for the Stagecoach Country Music Festival.
And the DJT administration planning to appeal a judge's order halting certain tactics used during ICE raids in Southern California. In issuing the order, the judge cited the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures. The White House calls it a gross overstep of judicial authority to be corrected on appeal. 63 in Castle Rock, 64 in Wheat Ridge, 66 in Denver, and Central Texas continuing to face more flooding today, possibly, and more rain as they continue to fight Mother Nature in Central Texas. So pray for them. Jeff and Billy have returned. Thank God Billy is alive. They continue right now. News Talk 710. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast here in Denver on this early Monday. A few passing clouds this morning, temperatures in the middle 60s. Then for the rest of your Monday, looking nice with a 20% chance for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, highs near 95. Partly cloudy tonight, lows in the lower 60s. Chance for showers and storms on Tuesday, highs near 90. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're going to jump right into this. The Denver Post over the weekend saying ICE deportations are derailing Colorado criminal prosecutions. Metro Denver DA say deportations allow defendants to escape accountability for alleged crimes. There's so much to this. I can't wait to dive into it. All right. When a Venezuelan immigrant was arrested last year and charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl in Jefferson County, the teen's mothers hoped for justice. J.E., who's being identified by her initials to protect her daughter's identity, wanted the suspect to be convicted and locked away. Why not? She's exactly right. She wanted to know he couldn't hurt anyone else, at least for a while. But that's not what happened. Now, you might be thinking, it's the deportations. Oh, no. It's not that. Jesus Alberto Castillo, 21 years old, posted a $5,000 bail and was released from the Jefferson County Jail. Sexually assaulted a minor, 14-year-old girl, and posted a $5,000 bail and was released from the Jefferson County Jail. Do you remember when we had Bradley on?
Oh, yeah.
Because this whole, like, rape child and get probation thing in Colorado. And this was, by the way, a bipartisan effort. Her and Representative English, I believe, were the ones that tried to address this. Democrats at the state capitol tried to stop that. But nope. Jesus gets out on a $5,000 bail. He was subsequently arrested by federal immigration authorities and was deported from the country by May. Clerk notified via email that the defendant has been removed from the country. Chief Judge Jeffrey Pillington wrote in a May 19 order. The deportation effectively ended the state's criminal case against Castillo. The prosecution cannot continue without his presence in court, though he remains wanted on a warrant and could be prosecuted if he ever returned to Colorado. There was no conviction, no sentence, no jail time, the Denver Post writes, just a deportation. Now, in this particular case, the parent of the victim says it's been pretty hard on them and the daughter. She doesn't feel like she's getting justice she deserves. Now, I would argue that the $5,000 bail is not the justice, not necessarily, or is the injustice, not necessarily the deportation. But I'll let their words speak. It just has been so easy for immigrants to come into the country after they're deported, so the fear that he might relocate somewhere else in the U.S. and do this to someone else, them deporting him ruined justice for my daughter. Now, we talked a little bit about this. I want to bring this back up because this is now a big article. I mean, this gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's multiple layers of this. Because one of the things that I find a little bit ironic is not the victims, but the frustration that the DAs have working with federal immigration officials who are just going to kind of do their own thing. Okay? So in some of these cases, they don't even notify the DAs. They just take them and deport these guys. Okay? And the DAs are going, well, no, what about what? We want, in essence, Bill, coordination. Which I find a little ironic because the state has said, no, we're not going to coordinate. So when it's on our side to coordinate with federal immigration officials, the state will go, we're actually going to not coordinate. But when immigration officials are like, all right, we're just going to swing by, grab the guy, and out he goes. Now, all of a sudden, the DAs are going, well, excuse me, we would like a little coordination here. Which I find a little ironic. But the bigger point being, is it justice to deport somebody for obviously being here illegally, but when they've committed another crime, do you want them in this country doing the time? Do you want the taxpayer to pay for their housing and their food and their health care and all that stuff while they're in prison, which is roughly about $40,000 a year? Looked it up. That's how much it costs the average taxpayer to pay for these folks. Or is it justice to get them out of here? And we're supposed to be here in the first place. We're not going to force the taxpayer to pay this. We have no obligation to force them to do their time here. Let's get them out of here and move on and let the other country deal with them. Now, in the other country, they haven't committed the crime that they committed here, so they're not going to pay over there. But knowing the fact that criminals like to do crimey things, they'll probably end up in jail at some point. Again, Bill, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this was one of the unintended consequences that you and I discussed prior to the election, the idea of the deporting and what you were going to do. And we had talked about a couple of high-profile cases that would the American voter be happier if those guys, rather than serving a prison sentence in America, one of them for murder, just instead went back to the country they came from. Free, nothing else, no charges, no real criminal record there because didn't commit the crime there. Is that necessarily justice?
Lake and Riley's killer, for instance.
And so how would you feel about that? And that's the idea is, does this feel like we are going towards justice? And is that the reason behind why we're going to try to hold these people criminally responsible for these things? But if the issue is just get them out, then this is what you're going to get. And I'm actually surprised this doesn't happen more often. I'm actually very, very surprised there isn't a larger number of these, because these are the easy ones. This is the thing that again, showing up to the businesses, etc., and just, blanket trying to arrest everybody and ask everyone if they're papers. Yeah, that's easy. But if you were trying to go after the immigrant crime wave, which was part of the cell that was done before the election, then these are the easy ones. The guys that get picked up that are here illegally, that should be deported, and now you know where they are, and then they post bail. So now you have a track on them. So, yeah, this is the ones. I'm surprised this doesn't happen all the time. I'm surprised that ICE isn't waiting, in some cases, just to block down and then showing up, as we talked about here. And it's not the best way to pass off a potential prisoner, but just waiting for them to get kicked loose because of bail. I'm super surprised this doesn't happen more often, because these are, these are the easy trackable ones, and they're the ones that are violent criminals. So it would fulfill your promise of the immigrant crime wave and dealing with it.
Right.
So,
What's interesting in this article, and it's a big one in the Denver Post, is how the ICE agents have to deal with different jurisdictions.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So in one case, one jurisdiction of a friend that we both know very well, used to sit in this seat. Well, they have no problem. Communication, coordination, they're just talking back and forth.
Yeah.
When Jorge Brauchler picks up a guy, and lo and behold, ICE is like, hey, we think we're just going to deport this guy. They go, oh, thanks for letting us know. We may reallocate our resources with regards to trial. In other cases, like with DA in Boulder, you get complaints that they are firing up the justice system, getting the trial going and all this stuff, and there he goes. But ICE points out that we kind of have a problem with you guys, because when we've asked to pick a guy up, you won't work with us. You won't even notify us. We have to track it. And then you let the guy out the front door, and we have to chase him around the parking lot. So, yeah, we're not in the best mood to coordinate with you guys right now, because when we've asked for help, you don't seem to want to do it. And you probably have some folks that are working within your administrations that really don't like what we're doing. And so, yeah, we're just going to pick them up and send them home. And you can find out via a deportation order or whatever that we're going to go. So what you have effectively right now in Colorado is a whole host of different jurisdictions, frustrations, ICE frustrated with local DAs, DAs frustrated with ICE, and then in places like Judicial District 23, where George Brauchler, well, they all get along just fine because they tend to seem to be on the same team. So fascinating article into this. Here's my question to listeners. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Is this justice? Is it justice when you have someone that has committed sexual assault against a 14-year-old just deported, just out of this country, away from the victim, away from the American people. And part of the reason I bring up its justice is because the guy got out on a $5,000 bail. Okay? He's already walking the streets. So this argument that, well, we need to imprison him here in order to protect people. Well, the DAs and these judges that are progressive in this state are letting these guys out on probation, sometimes even after they're convicted. So I'm not sure they're going to get justice in the state of Colorado. I think they probably have to leave. That's the best way to protect the people of Colorado, is to get them out of the country entirely. But to their point, we've had an open border. Sometimes these guys just come right back in. So is it justice to get them deported, or should the taxpayer, to the tune of $40,000 a year, put them in prison, make them pay, and in doing so, then we've got justice. You do the crime, you do the time. Give us a call, join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Cato's Coffee. This lovely coffee right here in studio, brought to you by Cato's Coffee. Roasted to order, ensuring you get the freshest cup possible. It's delicious. Drinking it on the way to work too. Got the K-Cups, put those in at home, drink it on the way in. Pet Planet Friendly, supporting animal welfare and eco-friendly practices. With every purchase, your morning cup contributes to positive change for pets and the environment. Delicious flavor profiles, expertly roasted for a smooth, flavorful experience every time. If coffee's not your thing, try their teas. Shop their online merchandise and find something for you and your furry friend. Upgrading your morning ritual with Cato's Coffee is what Bill and I drink in the morning. CatosCoffee.com. That's KatosKoffee.com. When you buy the coffee, you help the pets. It's awesome, right? Why not? Find something to suit your taste today. Use the code JeffandBill10 at checkout for a 10% discount on your order. Again, that code JeffandBill10 at Cato's Coffee, KatosKoffee.com for a 10% discount on your order. Phone line starting to light up. We'll get to those. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking an article in the Denver Post. ICE deportations are derailing Colorado criminal prosecutions. I have some issues with that wording because I think the lib prosecutors and judges are derailing criminal prosecutions. Here you have a guy, an illegal immigrant, rapes a 14-year-old girl in Jefferson County, gets out on a $5,000 bail. Sexually assaults a 14-year-old girl, $5,000 bail. Now ICE sweeps in, grabs the guy, deports him. Okay? Is that justice in your mind? Should the guy do time in Colorado? But as I pointed out, as we've had Brandy Bradley and Representative English on the show, in Colorado, you can rape a minor and get out on probation. Seems like real justice is sending him back to the country the guy came from, never having the American people ever put up with him again. Let's go to Jim in Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Hey, guys, that's not justice. That's not justice at all. You're going to deport somebody back to the country, and then maybe they'll go work at a hotel, and, some other American family goes down to that hotel in Acapulco or
that happens.
Resort town. And next
that
thing
happens
you know,
here in Colorado. They get probation.
Exactly. It's not justice. I just can't say it's justice in any way. How do you say it's justice being deported? Sent across the border, turned over to the society they came from.
Well, I'm putting into the equation the fact that the taxpayer is going to have to pay $40,000 a year for this guy to sit in jail. Do you think that's right?
Well, listen, Maxwell's in jail. Epstein was in jail. Trump was best friends with this pedophile for 10 years. Why didn't he save America from this pedophile for 10 years while he was his best friend, going back and forth, hanging out with Melania on the Lolita Express? There's no justice here. And I guess you're relating it to money. So money is justice, maybe. So I guess the only justice we're going to get is if the victim pays money to the person that was molested. I still don't think it was justice.
All right, Jim. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Let's go to Tony Lakewood. Good morning, Tony. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, love your show. My granddaughter was raped when she was 5 years old.
Oh, jeez.
He they said he wasn't competent to stand trial. Sent to Pueblo to do that crap they do. He escaped from there many times. That shows me he's competent. And I think they should be put in jail. They should tell everybody what he did, and he should get the same treatment my granddaughter got. Many, many, many times over. I will never sit on a jury until they get rid of Beth McCann and Phil Weiser. Those people are jokes, and thank God the system had my granddaughter and our family in counseling. I appreciate that very much, but I love Colorado. This state is a joke. So thank you,
Tony,
guys.
I want to ask you that because that's part of the reality of this state right now. Is here you have a guy, Jesus Castillo, 21 years old, rapes a 14-year-old, or at least sexually assaults a 14-year-old, allegedly, and then posts a $5,000 bail. And you have a state where these guys get out on probation, or in your case, are sent down to Pueblo for mental health reasons, and the guy escapes. We have the opportunity to just get him out of the country, just get him away in a state that lets these guys roam the streets. In my mind, considering where we are, and I would love to be where Jim was, and these guys go to jail for a long time. But in the state, they don't. They walk free. So is it better to just get them the hell out of the country and away from our people? That's better justice than what we currently have. Your thoughts?
Well, let it be your granddaughter. You know, I'll pay my taxes to get these guys off the street. Like I said, my granddaughter, she was 2 months past 5 years old. He took her down to the bottom of a stairwell. Thank God my neighbor came and caught him in the act.
Wow.
And she didn't speak too much English. She came to my door, a Julian, a Tony, a Julian, a Maxson, a Julian, a Maxson. I didn't know what he did. The kid comes walking right up to me. I had no idea what he did. He walks right up to me and I said, you get over there and you sit down. Before you know it, the police got there. And you know what? Like I said, let that be your granddaughter.
Now, Tony,
You know what?
I think I kind of want to follow up on that. Now, would you say that what Jeff is advocating for would be justice in your case? If the DA had come to you and said, instead of going to trial, and instead of, just for the sake of the conversation, instead of going to trial, instead of taking the dice roll, this guy is likely going to end up getting, being labeled incompetent to stand trial and go down to the Pueblo State, facility, the insane asylum, for lack of a better word, but it's the mental institution down there. So when they're down there, would you say, yes, I'm okay with rolling the dice there? Or would you prefer them to just say, we are going to deport this person back to their own country? Let's just assume they came from another country and they're just going to deport them. After they get back to that country, nothing. Which in your mind would you and your family be looking at as justice? Which is the path you would want if you got to choose? This is a choose your own adventure story. Which is the path that you would choose?
Well, do you think these guys are going to be rehabilitated? Absolutely not. They go to jail, they get the same treatment. So, like I said, there's no rehabilitation for those guys. When he escaped, many times, when they caught him, he was tested and he was positive for methamphetamine and marijuana. How's this guy going to be rehabilitated?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not arguing that. What I'm asking, though, Tony, is I'm going back to Jeff's question. Do you want him to go through the system here and for us to try to search for justice, as inaccurate as that may be, or would you prefer to have the option to just deport the individual? Again, I know this is hypothetical, but we're just going off of your case, and I want to use this because you've been in this situation. So if they came to you and said, we are just going to deport this guy that did this horrible crime to your granddaughter, would you say, yes, that's justice? Or would you instead want to roll the dice on the justice system here? What would you prefer, just out of curiosity?
Well, you keep them here because you know where they are, basically, until he escapes. You keep them here, you make them face it. When you deport them, you're just saying another kid's going to happen to another kid, and I tell you, I don't want that. These people are not rehabilitatable. I'm sorry, I just they're animals. And people go, well, you know what probably happened to him? I don't care. I'm sorry it happened to him. But like I said, my granddaughter, our life, my granddaughter and our family's life is scarred.
Yeah.
And they're going to just deport him? Like I said, you get rid of Beth McCann, you get rid of Phil Weiser, and I'll sit on a jury duty. Until then, this country, this state, Colorado, is a joke. I was born and raised here. I pay my taxes. Hey, if I get a ticket or if I do something wrong, what's going to happen to me? I don't get a get out of jail free card.
No, you don't.
And when you do that, you are allowing him to go do it again. Make it your daughter.
Tony,
make it your niece.
Yeah.
I appreciate the
Tony.
call.
I
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
that. And that would be interesting if we had someone that, let's say, raped a young girl in France, and instead of the French holding him, they just sent him back here to the U.S. We can't charge him for a crime he committed in France. So then you just do what? I'm not certain we would be super excited that person's back here.
I mean, look, I want these guys to face justice. If we lived in a state where you were thrown in the clink for 25 years for raping, sexually assaulting a minor, yeah, I might think differently about this. But to the point, we got a text message from a law enforcement person. Deportation's more effective since our legal system has no teeth. If we actually punish criminals in this state, then the narrative would be completely different. That's exactly right. So the options are deport them, or here's $5,000 bail and possible probation. So Tony kind of kept going back to, well, the legal system's wrong here in Colorado. Yes, we agree with that. Legal system has serious problems. So with the reality we're facing right now, with DAs and prosecutors that are offering $5,000 bail and possible probation for assaulting a minor, yeah, get him out of this country. That seems like a sure thing. Because unless you commit a crime in Judicial District 23, you're not going to be prosecuted. I think we might be getting a phone call from a law enforcement person I was texting there, Bill. So let's see if we can get him in here real quick. All right, we got George. Fantastic. Good morning, George Brauchler, on with Jeff and Bill. Good morning, George.
Buddy, you guys are doing a great job covering this thing. This is a legit issue here.
Yeah, well, and you're featured in this article because one of the kind of levels down in this is when it comes to ICE working with DAs, they're finding some DAs that they have great working relationships with. One being you, others that they don't necessarily want to work with because it becomes so complicated with state law. Talk about that dynamic from your perspective, your working relationship with ICE and the feds.
Well, we have a good one. Even after I got elected, before I got sworn in, and if we hit a little bit of a cell issue here, forgive me. I reached out to all the federal agencies that we were going to partner with and work with an eye towards, let's all get on the same page. How can we leverage each other's expertise and superpowers for the benefit of the community? And ICE was certainly part of that conversation.
Well, I find it ironic because what you run into with some of these other DAs and counties is they're going, well, ICE just grabbed these guys and took them and didn't coordinate with us. We didn't get a lot of notice. We all of a sudden we find out these guys are gone. And I'm sitting there going, well, I've heard from the feds going, hold on, these county DAs aren't necessarily coordinating with us. So it feels like when you read this article in the Denver Post that it's kind of come back to slap them, where they were perfectly fine to, for instance, release an illegal immigrant out the front door and make ICE chase him around the parking lot and not provide coordination and not help and all that stuff. But then all of a sudden when ICE is like, we're just grabbing the guys and we're going and we're getting these guys out, and the DAs are starting to go, well, hold on, we want some type of coordination now. It seems like the sanctuary state status, the sanctuary city status of Colorado has come around to kind of interrupt their efforts to prosecute. And maybe they should look at that as part of the problem.
I do think there's some legitimacy to an administration that has taken over and has to deal with a state that has rejected it probably at every turn on this particular issue. But you said something, Jeff, that's really important for people to get. The first line of defense on this issue is the sheriff. And we're just blessed out here in Douglas County to have Super Sheriff Darren Weekly. And Darren has a good relationship with ICE, and that facilitates and enhances the relationship that we have, because we're not the first place they would go to. Most of these guys and gals are being held in jail on one thing or another. So them coordinating, and again, remember the law says you can't share information about this, that, or the other. Well, ICE letting the sheriff's office know or our office know we're interested in this person, we'd love to do this, or this is something that's out there, allows us to do certain things. One of the things I talked about was if we get the sense they're coming for one of our defendants or witnesses, we might try to get the bond revoked in order to have them brought back into custody where they can't just be swooped up and taken out of the jail. It's only when they're really outside the jail this becomes a big issue. And then I saw some comments and some things on social media where people are like, this is outrageous. You can't, this is in the article too. You can't just take someone's bond away for this. Well, I'm not entirely sure that's true, but here's the bigger point. We have jillions of illegal aliens out there across the country committing crimes, and yet they shouldn't be here, and yet we put them in a position to say, you must legally stay here. We put them on a bond and tell them, we want you to stay in the community and come back to court. We put them on probation and tell them, we want you to stay here and make you stay here. It's just this great hypocrisy with the system that we have, where we're like, we know you're not supposed to be here. You know you're not supposed to be here. Now we're going to tell you to stay here. It's just crazy.
That's George Brauchler, District Attorney, Judicial District 23. Got a question for you, George. Is there a line that you would draw as far as where deportation is preferable to a trial in a court? And so what I'm asking basically is, are you okay with them picking up someone that might have been a speeder and just deporting them before they go to trial, someone that might have been hit and run? Where's that line? Do we get to someone that is accused of rape, murder, embezzlement? Is that still preferable to deport them? Or, because again, they entered the country illegally, they shouldn't have been here, we shouldn't ask them to stick around if they're here illegally. Is it preferable to deport them, or is it preferable to run them through our justice system? Is there a line for you, or is it always preferable to do one versus the other?
No, you're right. There's a line, and that's a line drawn largely because of the resources and the practical outcomes that exist for a lot of lower-level charges. One, if there's ever a person victim of a crime, I absolutely want their input before we make that decision. But it may be a thing where someone's a victim of a crime, and we look at it and say, even if we prosecute the hell out of this thing and crush it, the judge is never going to give this person an incarceration sentence. Well, then, yeah, great. Get out of the country would be a great outcome. And I think that's probably the decision that we would end up making. The thing here is there has to be coordination. But the idea that, hey, we're going to deport them and that's punishment enough, how many people out there, Americans, accused of serious crimes, if given the option, would say, do you want to go to prison for X number of years, or would you like to be relocated to Mexico, would say, I think I'll take Mexico. I mean, even though I don't even speak the language, they'd love to do it. That would be an injustice. That would not be an equal protection of the laws thing if Americans got treated more harshly by our system than the people who are here illegally.
That's George Brauchler, District Attorney, Judicial District 23. One of the things that was clear in this article, George, is that you're doing it right. And the frustration from other DAs that tend to be more progressive and try to work through all these issues, it seems to be a problem of their own making in some capacities. But you, sir, doing a great job leading the Judicial District 23, which includes Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln County. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Thanks, guys. Keep killing it. See ya.
Speaking of somebody who has a great relationship with ICE, I got a text message from Steve Reams. I have a great relationship with ICE. The Sheriff of Weld County. Thank you, Steve, for texting in. All right, we got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill, let's jump right into it with some You Choose the News.
Yes. Oh, my God. It seems like it's been forever, but it is time to play America's favorite fake radio news game show. Yes, it's You Choose the News. I've spent just moments this morning scouring the interwebs for really dumb stories about us humans, giving them more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why would we waste valuable KNUS airtime? Well, those in charge do not awaken until 7 o'clock. Once we found we were left unsupervised, just like back in our teenage years, Jeff and I take full advantage. And as always, you need a fall guy. That's why Blake Olson joins us from the newsroom at Balake, CU. And so, here we go. Gentlemen,
I love it.
Your headlines this morning. Headline number 1, like the Tin Man. Headline number 2, too much fluffing. Headline number 3, return to sender. And headline number 4, the future is scary. Mr. Hunt.
Too much fluffing.
Yes, way too much fluffing. We find ourselves in British Columbia for this one. A furniture store was ordered to pay $500 in damages to a couple who bought a sofa without fully understanding the care that was needed for the sofa. See, it required a continual fluffing. Had to fluff it almost all the time. No, we're not talking about something that's more X-rated. What we're talking about is the idea that this stuffing is feathers and not the traditional foam. When Donna and Thomas Dobko filed the claim against Muse and Merchant Store, they said they purchased the sofa and 2.5 ottomans back in November of 2023, and 7 months later, they went back to the store and complained the cushions are deflating after you sit on it for an hour or two. And the company said, well, no, see, they're filled with feathers, and so you got to fluff them constantly or they're not. And they said, we didn't know this. Oh, you got to take this back. And they said, you've had this thing for months. We're not going to refund the money to you. So they took them to court, and the furniture store was ordered to pay $500 in damages, and the couple got to keep the sofa. Wow. I know.
Judge Judy.
Exactly. I'm kind of like, you didn't fluff the, oh, well, you didn't really test the sofa out. Okay. Now, Blake Olson, exactly. Your choice, sir. Like the Tin Man, return to sender, or the future is scary.
Oh, let's go Elvis, return to sender.
Yes, return. I really appreciate you caught that reference.
Absolutely.
All right, return to sender.
It's you, man.
Imagine 100 or so oversized packages appearing on your doorstep every single week, and you have no clue why. You never ordered them, yet the shipping spree will not stop coming from Amazon. That is the life of one lady in San Jose right now. She's using the name Kay, not her real name, because she doesn't want to be, doxxed because of this. But she's confused as to why scores of these large boxes filled with car seat covers continue to appear at her doorstep. She says she gets hundreds of these every day. She stops everyone she can. Well, what happened is a Chinese online seller called Louis Dian basically is an Amazon seller and listed her home address as the return option. So when people buy the Chinese car covers and then want to return them because they don't fit, they go to Kay.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
yeah. She said she'll give you a good discount on them, though. But yeah, that's
those
about
things
it.
were stacked up, and an update on that. They've come and cleared them up.
Yes, they have. All right.
Yes,
Final choice this morning, Jeff. Like the Tin Man, the future is scary.
Man.
Like the Tin Man, in the wake of Microsoft's latest round of layoffs, well, Matt Tunball, the executive producer at Xbox Game Studio, gave everybody AI prompts to feel better about losing your job. Yeah, what a jerk. That's the end of You Choose the News.
You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
KNUS.